Ready, everyone? We're going to get this started. We're going to wait for a couple people to join, and then we're going to go on with the show, everyone. Does everybody in the background, is the audio fine? Like, does everybody pretty much hear the background okay? Is it like clear? We're going to wait for a couple people to hop on. All right, so everybody is okay. All right, perfect. So there's no like background noise or anything like that you guys hear of? Okay, perfect. All right, then we'll go ahead and get started, everyone. Watching from Italy. Oh, very nice. Super cool. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of On Point Politics. Make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe if you want more content just like this. Follow me on X in the description down below. And make sure to go ahead and check out our Telegram chat so you can get the latest updates on when the show goes live. And so we're going to go ahead and actually have our producer introduce themselves. So, Johan, if you want to introduce yourself, you can.
Hello, my name is Joan. Lester's a good friend of mine. Um, I'm from the DMV, that's DC, Maryland, and Virginia, and I'm working from here. It's a pleasure to be with you all.
All right. Well, thank you so much, my friend. And we're going to go ahead and actually get started on all of the topics today. So, the topics that we have for the show today are talking about William Barr affirms Epstein's death was a suicide. DHS warns hateful rhetoric is fueling violence. Then we also have FBI pressed on Epstein trafficking probe. We're also going to be looking at the judge keeping the Epstein co-conspirators anonymous, as well as Congress honoring Charlie Kirk. We're also going to be looking at the Democratic demands for avoiding a shutdown, as well as UN's General Assembly week. We're going to be looking at talking about Charlie Kirk's memorial. We're also going to be talking about, if I go ahead and pull it up here as well, we're going to be talking about Trump's UK visit, trade and foreign policy debate. And we're also going to be looking at here exclusive reporting from On Point Politics. Flair activists push impeachment and clash with DC establishment. And we're going to be talking about the receipts that Candace Owens actually showed on her show last night. So we're going to go ahead and go through all of this for you all today. So let me go ahead and actually get all this situated. And then we're going to go ahead and get started. So the first topic is William Barr affirms Epstein's death was a suicide. So former Attorney General William Barr testified via transcript to a House committee that Jeffrey Epstein's 2019 death in federal custody was undoubtedly suicide, countering persistent conspiracy theories. Barr said that surveillance video and Epstein's mental state convinced him no one could have entered Epstein's cell undetected, although he acknowledged a camera blind spot that fuels public suspicion. The House Oversight Committee, led by Rep. James Comer, is reviewing Epstein's crimes and connections, including seeking unredacted flight logs and messages from Epstein's estate as part of the investigation. So that is the first topic of the day. And I find this very interesting because there's this whole debate on whether or not Epstein's death was or wasn't a suicide. So that's like that's one of the big things that people talk about. And popular belief is that it wasn't a suicide. And that's because of people claiming, looking at the autopsy, that's something that a lot of people they find it very suspicious, because this is somebody that was pretty much running a honeypot operation. Essentially that's what he was doing. And he has information on possibly hundreds of people. And so there was too much at stake for him to be able to speak freely. And so, it's just kind of like we will probably never really know for sure as of right now, I honestly myself don't have a definitive conclusion on whether the case was a suicide or it wasn't a suicide, but my kind of superstition leads me to believe that it possibly wasn't a suicide. So that's kind of where I see it right now. And that's just and then obviously the former attorney general confirming that it wasn't a suicide may raise concerns that people have. I believe Johan is what's going on with Johan's stream and mic. Hold on. Johan. Okay, there you go. Now you're back. All right, cool. I don't know what happened there. Hello?
What's up?
All right, okay, there we go. So you're good now. All right, awesome. What do you think about the this William Barr thing? What do you think about that? What are your thoughts?
You know, I really do think he's complicit in it. I think he had something to do with it. I've been following this case for a couple of years now. When Bill Barr, took over that case, I mean, obviously it resulted in the death of Jeffrey Epstein. And the fact that there's no evidence or anything that can prove that he actually did commit suicide. I mean, just the way he did it, it just didn't make any sense. Because you look at the crime scene photos, it just, I don't know. I have a lot of trouble. I have a lot of trouble with that case.
Right.
But I do think there is obviously this cover up.
Right. And I think so too. The next topic here is we're going to go ahead and go through the next topic here. So we have DHS warns hateful rhetoric is fueling violence. So the Department of Homeland Security sounded an alarm over surging political violence, linking it to charged anti-Trump and anti-immigration enforcement rhetoric. DHS told Fox News that hateful rhetoric against President Trump, his supporters, and DHS law enforcement has contributed to 1,000% increase in assaults on ICE officers, citing that the recent murder of Charlie Kirk as an evil act of political violence and 2 brutal attacks on ICE agents. DHS called on the media and the far left to stop hateful rhetoric directed at Trump and law enforcement. We also see Assistant Secretary Tricia McClellan warned that demonizing opponents is inspiring nationwide violence, urging all sides to turn down the temperature before someone is killed. DHS specifically condemned remarks made by certain Democratic politicians, like comparing ICE to slave patrols or the Gestapo, for inciting hostility towards immigration authorities. So this is one of the really big things, right? Like this is a major issue. There is rhetoric, and this is something we'll actually get to towards the end of the show, where we have exclusive reporting of protesters at the Capitol that was captured by our DC field rep, Miles Morale. That is a really, really big issue that we are actually having today. There is a lot of rhetoric that is really fueling political violence. And one of the things that happens is the media will label you a certain way. They will call you a fascist. They will call you this and that. They'll call you a bunch of different names of things that you aren't. And that them doing that constantly on a day-by-day basis is actually going to produce a possibility for somebody to do something to you. I mean, for example, Charlie Kirk. Unfortunately, the great late Charlie Kirk was assassinated, as we all know, at Utah Valley University while doing a change my mind or a prove me wrong session in front of thousands of college students. And one of the reasons why the rhetoric that is going on today is so harmful is that it's putting people in dangerous way, and it's effectively ending certain people's lives. And again, the president of the United States there was big assassination attempts. There's obviously more than 2, but there was 2 major attempts that were made on his life. So that's also another issue. And this came about the media calling him the next Hitler, saying that he was going to be a dictator or a fascist. all of a sudden, if you don't agree on certain viewpoints, particularly immigration and the way that foreign policy works, the second that you go against the establishment narrative, you are immediately called all sorts of names in the book. And this ultimately actually puts people at major risk. And even looking here, a lot of the Democrats have been calling ICE agents the Gestapo. And the official US law says that if you come here illegally, you're not supposed to be here. That's what is in the law books. And to JD Vance's point, because JD Vance has said this before, if you want to let thousands of millions of people in here, then you need to change the law. But until then, they're going to actually enforce the laws that are in the books. That is the way that it should be done. The presidents are supposed to follow the policy that's in US law. That is how what it was intended to be. Because here's the thing. Biden is one of the first, if not the first president in US history who intentionally opened the border. And whether that was to bring in more people for possibly for people to vote for them or for other reasons, that is up for that's up for speculation for another day. But clearly there is a major, there is a pretty major issue with that. And that type of policy, when implemented, causes a lot of problems for the United States in terms of the job market, culturally. You're bringing in too many people way too fast who don't assimilate. And so that viewpoint that these people have, if you oppose that, they will instantaneously call you a fascist. And that rhetoric actually puts you in harm's way, unfortunately. And even, for example, John, can you actually go on X and pull up the text messages from Virginia, from Jay Jones? I actually want to show that because this is the latest example. Yeah, go ahead and pull that up for me, please. Yeah, and what I'm going to actually have Johan pull up really quick is text messages that the Democrat nominee for Attorney General was actually sending out to people. Not to people, but this is allegedly, by the way, but I'm pretty sure this was confirmed by Jay Jones himself that this even happened. But if you actually go ahead and pull up the messages, Jay Jones was calling for one of his political opponents to not only have him killed, but that his children are supposedly fascist and that they also, it wouldn't be a bad thing if they also died as well. So that is an example of pure political malice, pure political violence. That is a pure example of that. And unfortunately, we've gotten to the point in this country where that is normalized. This is what they deem as normal. And it's not okay for either side to be calling for any sort of political violence. I'm actually going to add it to the stage here, but we see it right here. It says the following. It says, if you guys, if you want to go ahead and read those out, you can if you want.
Yeah. So Jay, so this is a text message that someone sent to Jay. He says, "They say nice things about everyone, LOL." And I believe Jay responds, "If those guys die before me, I will go to their funerals to piss on their graves. Send them out awash in something." And the guy responds, Jay Jones. Jay Jones then responds, 3 people, 3 bullets. Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with the 2 worst people you know, and he receives both bullets every time. And the guy responds, Jay, please stop. And Jay responds, LOL, okay. The guy also responds, It really bothers me when you talk about hurting people or wishing death on them.
Yeah, and so guys, this is like the current Democrat nominee for Attorney General in Virginia, and I actually did a video last Saturday detailing the specifics of those elections and how this will kind of shake up the whole narrative there. But this is a nominee for Attorney General who is supposed to be like a fair arbiter of the law in the state of Virginia. This is what this person is supposed to be elected to do. Go to the next text. I want to see those as well. Yeah, we see here you simply weren't asking questions, and I generally was. I wasn't attacking you. I was trying to understand your logic. You weren't trying to understand. You were talking about hoping Jennifer Gilbert's children would die. Yes, and I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. So there are very sick people that are currently running for office that talk like this behind closed doors, wishing death on their political opponents. And this is what the DHS has been warning about. It is the increase in rhetoric like this, and you notice they call them a fascist. Like that's what that is. That is like the main talking point that gets Republican politicians put in harm's way. So this is a really big problem, and I'm glad that the DHS is actually pointing this out. The next topic is FBI pressed on Epstein trafficking probe. FBI Director Kash Patel faced intense questioning in Congress over the handling of the files Epstein sex trafficking investigation. Patel insisted that the FBI is releasing all material legally allowed and that some evidence is sealed by court order. Lawmakers, including Rep. Thomas Massie from Kentucky, who's a Republican, accused the FBI of shielding information, noted that Epstein's victims gave the FBI names of others involved in this abuse. Patel testified that to date, the FBI has no credible evidence Epstein trafficked underage girls to anyone besides himself, a claim that frustrated members of both parties. Patel said if credible information on co-conspirators emerges, the FBI will investigate, but he denied possessing any incriminating videos of others. The issue that caused a rift between President Trump and his base. Trump, a former Epstein friend, has urged supporters to move on from the Epstein hoax theories. While many conservatives expected a full expose of Epstein's network, Patel's critics like Rep. James Rinskin, a Democrat from Maryland, blasted him for once championing transparency on Epstein, but now as FBI chief appearing to be on the part of a cover-up. Meanwhile, multiple federal judges recently denied the DOJ's request to unseal Epstein grand jury transcripts, noting that they contained little new information. So that is the next topic on this. And actually, I kind of want you to, John, if you can find a clip of Kash Patel on X testifying to Congress about this, if you want to pull up like a particular clip you think would be interesting to show for the audience. Okay, let's go ahead and actually play this. I want to see what he had to say.
If there were, is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And the information we have, again, is limited.
So the answer is no one
For the information that we have
in the files.
in the case file.
Okay.
There's no.
That's really interesting. I actually haven't seen that before. Yeah, I find it very suspicious that there wasn't anybody else involved, especially from the stories we've heard, especially when you go into his home, the paintings that were in his house. If you want, I don't know if you're still looking through there, but if you want to pull up another tab and actually show the George W. Bush painting that was found in the house, if you want to pull that up for me really quick, that's also something there too. I think you have something pulled up on the screen here. Let me actually look and see what you have. Yeah, if you want to go ahead and pull that up, you can. But yeah, so that is another that it's definitely very interesting that you have. Yeah, okay, here it is. So this is the paint. Well, this is one of the paintings that they found inside of Jeffrey Epstein's house. Is this like confirmed? I'm pretty sure that this was actually confirmed. This is Epstein allegedly owned a painting of George W. Bush with a plane, and you see like little Jenga blocks on the bottom there, simulating like the Twin Towers. What do you think, John? What do you think this means? The fact that he had these in his house.
I mean, it's very telling. I mean, we've always grown up with like that saying, George Bush did 9/11. If Epstein has this hung up in his house, it makes me believe that George Bush actually had something to do with 9/11. Maybe there's something there. Maybe Epstein is trying to tell us that Bush had some involvement in it. Because I mean, that's what I get from it. I mean, no person would put a painting up like that in his house and have former presidents come over and look at it. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Right, because yeah, I mean, he had yeah, I mean,
he had
yeah,
Bill
it's true.
Clinton come over. Bill Clinton is good friends with George Bush. So I
Right.
wonder, like, how did Bill take it, right? Like, you know?
Right, yeah, and I mean, yeah, so that's the thing. This whole thing that supposedly there's no credible information, that there were other people involved. I find that to be a pretty. I find it to be dishonest. If Cash can show everything they have, I mean, that would be a lot better than just saying that they don't have anything. Because I just don't. I really don't understand what they need to determine is credible and is not credible. Now, I do want to say this. If you pull up the tweet that President Trump made, where he said that if you still believe the Jeffrey Epstein hoax, I don't want your support anymore. If you can pull that up, because I actually want to show that to the audience here. So this is what's really interesting about that, guys. I think that the president has somebody in his ear that was telling him to write his tweets about this case a certain way, and they just did a terrible job. Like, whoever his PR people are, I don't know why they would let him put this tweet out, because when he calls it a hoax, what I think he means by a hoax is that the Democrats all of a sudden they didn't care when Biden was in office about the files. As far as I was aware, they weren't calling for the release of the files whatsoever, or barely anything was coming out while Biden was in office. But now that Trump is in, all of a sudden they're pivoting to that and they're making it this like huge issue. And it is documented that the president is one of the only people who actually was working with certain lawyers, giving information to authorities. Everybody else supposedly didn't want to give up any information. And the president even kicked out Jeffrey Epstein in the early 90s from his Mar-a-Lago estate after he was allegedly flirting with a member's underage daughter. And this is the tweet that he put up a couple weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago now, actually. The radical left Democrats have hit pay dirt again, just like with the fake, fully discredited Steele dossier, the lying 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, which the Dems swore had came from Russia. And even when Russia scam itself, a totally fake and made up story used in order to hide crooked Hillary Clinton's big loss in the 2016 election. These scams and hoaxes are all the Democrats are good at. It's all they have. They are no good at governing, no good at policy, no good at picking winning candidates. Also, unlike Republicans, they stick together like glue. Their new scam is what we will forever call the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. And my past supporters have bought into this BS hook, line, and sinker. They haven't learned their lesson and will probably never. And even after being conned by the lunatic left for 8 long years, I have had more success in 6 months than perhaps any president in our country's history. And all people want us to talk about, and with strong prodding by the fake news and the success-starved Dems, is the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. Let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success, because I don't want their support anymore. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. I mean, I understand his perspective, because and again, this is just going based off of information that's out there. If I had kicked this person out of my estate in the early 90s and I worked with authorities to help with an investigation as much as possible, and then you have people saying that you're allegedly involved with Epstein stuff, which it isn't confirmed whether or not the president was involved, but I would find it pretty frustrating that they're bringing this up all of a sudden, especially that they didn't care about it during Biden's administration, but now they care about it. The one thing that I do have to say is that when he was asked in the summer of 2024, the president was asked, will you release the Epstein files? He said, oh, maybe, we'll see, because, it may put up people's reputation potentially in harm. So I do understand his perspective, but I also don't appreciate the message that he said, oh, I wish to not have your support anymore because you fell for it, because it is an issue that people care about. We're talking about it on the show. So clearly people do care about this issue. James All Day said, I didn't like that Trump was saying it was a hoax, but after seeing the Democrats trying to use it as a gotcha on Trump, I could see why he's calling it as a hoax. No, I also understand that perspective totally as well. Joan actually pull up this clip here of the attorney mentioning that the president actually worked with authorities to help with the investigation. I'll go ahead and play the clip on full screen.
This is Derek, and we're here at the Palm Beach County Courthouse. Just wrapped up the civil trial dealing with Mr. Bradley Edwards, attorney who's represented many of the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. First off, thank you so much for your work and for everything you've done.
Absolutely, you're welcome.
This goes to the more salacious rumors, but I would like you to just, whatever you can say on it. Obviously, our current president has had relationships with Epstein in the past, and there are those Katie Johnson and maybe other victims who accused Trump of being involved in things like this. In my experience, Trump supporters will not listen to anything along those lines. Obviously, we're not a court of law here right now, but are those claims of those, though that case was dropped, it was dropped before it went to court. In your opinion as a lawyer and your experience, is there anything you can say as to the validity of those claims, or whether or not there will be any more about that? There will be any more about that?
Nothing at all. The only thing that I can say about President Trump is that he is the only person who, in 2009, when I served a lot of subpoenas on a lot of people, or at least gave notice to some pretty connected people that I wanted to talk to them, he is the only person who picked up the phone and said, let's just talk. I'll give you as much time as you want. I'll tell you what you need to know, and was very helpful in the information that he gave, and gave no indication whatsoever that he was involved in anything untoward whatsoever, but had good information that checked out and that helped us, and that we didn't have to take a deposition of him.
That was in 2009?
That was in 2009. So,
do you know if there's any truth to James Patterson's claims that Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago?
I've definitely heard that. I definitely heard that. And I don't know that it was Trump himself as opposed to a manager there.
Trump's club, so
yeah,
credit.
I've heard the rumor that Epstein was kicked out of there for allegedly trying to pick up somebody's daughter or something like that. But I think I did chase that down as far as I could, and never was able to confirm it.
Okay. Lawyer said a couple years, I think it's been a couple years now since that clip came out. But that's it for this topic, because we got to get going on other topics. We have to skip one of them, but we see here Congress honors slain activist Charlie Kirk in the wake of conservative activist Charlie Kirk's shocking assassination on September 10th. Lawmakers moved to commemorate him. Both the U.S. Senate and House approved a resolution establishing October 14th, which will actually be next Tuesday, Kirk's 32nd birthday, as a national day of remembrance for Charlie Kirk. Senate sponsor Senator Rick Scott praised Kirk's contributions to civic education and free debate, and House Speaker Mike Johnson lauded Kirk as a friend while condemning the political violence that led to his untimely passing. The House passed the honor on this day, though 96 Democrats declined to support it. 22 House Democrats, including former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, walked out rather than vote. Johnson noted afterwards, we called out political violence in America by passing the Kirk resolution. Kirk, the founder of Turning Point USA, was shot dead while speaking at a Utah campus in an attack authorities deemed politically motivated. A 22-year-old suspect was arrested and charged with Kirk's murder, Tyler Robinson. Prosecutors intend to seek the death penalty, and investigators revealed the shooter expressed hatred of Kirk's hate in messages and may have coordinated with others on Discord, prompting the FBI to probe a wider network linked to the crime. So that's what I have for my notes there for that topic. And again, I really appreciate the House and Senate passing a resolution to remember Charlie, because whether or not he was a Republican or Democrat, Charlie Kirk did open up the debate for education, for free debate. He encouraged people to read the Constitution, encouraged people to dive further into the word of Jesus Christ. So that is something that, regardless of any political side, I think anybody could appreciate that. And the fact that there were people who decided to not support that resolution, I think it's just completely disgraceful that they would even think about voting against that. Because if this was somebody on the left side, I would expect all Republicans to vote for that resolution as well. So this is not just because it's Charlie Kirk or whatever. That is that's what I have to say about that. Another thing I want to say about Charlie passing is the president. People saying that the president was being a little bit disingenuous because he said, "Oh, well, he didn't attend." I believe the name. Oh, hold on, Johan actually has something I'll pull up here for us to look at. So this was the yes and no votes for the. Is he on stream? No, he has to reconnect his mic. But we see here on agreeing to the resolution, 215 yeas from Republicans, for no voting. For whatever reason, don't know why they did that. Democrats, 95 voted yes, 58 voted no, 38 voted present, and 22 did not vote. So that is really interesting. And honestly, I think it's kind of shameful that not even the majority of Democrats even voted for the resolution. I don't even know why 4 Republicans decided to not vote. Who are the 4 Republicans who decided to not vote on that? I thought all the Republicans voted for that resolution. That's really interesting that they would vote. That's really interesting that they wouldn't vote for the resolution. So again, I really appreciate the Senate and the House doing that. John, are you? It says you got to connect your mic and camera before you join. There we go. Yeah, there we go. I don't know why that keeps happening to you. So to continue on, Democrat demand a meeting to avert shutdown. With the federal government shutdown looming on October 1st, Democratic leaders pressed President Trump to negotiate on this date. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries sent Trump a formal letter to demand a meeting about funding, accusing him of driving toward a shutdown over GOP budget demands. They blasted Republican leaders for refusing bipartisan talks and adjourning Congress while a partisan spending bill had just failed. With the September 30th deadline fast approaching, the Democrats wrote, Republicans will bear responsibility for another painful shutdown unless Trump himself engages. They insisted they're ready to cut a bipartisan deal on spending, especially to address what they call the Republican healthcare crisis, with Dems seeking extensions of the Affordable Care Act subsidies and opposing GOP Medicaid cuts, but will not support any funding bill that continues the Republican assault on healthcare. Schumer and Jeffries have argued that it is now Trump's obligation to meet with us directly to reach an agreement to keep the government open. Ultimately, Trump did meet with congressional leaders days later, but as of this writing, Washington was still hurtling toward a shutdown, with each side blaming the other. Do you want to pull up the Trump 2028 photo, the one where he has everybody lined up with the hats? It'd actually be great if you could pull that up there. I want the audience to see this. So this is why the president is a political genius, because look, guys, the whole point of the reason why the government is shut down right now, and the reason why it's shut down is because the Democrats want illegal immigrants to have access to health care. And they say, well, we don't want that. But what happens is when you free up certain money and other departments, that money can be used to spend on healthcare for illegal immigrants, right? And so that is the main point that the president is not going to fold on. He will not allow that to happen, because actually, if he did allow that to happen, not only would it affect him politically with his own base, but the Democrats could actually use that against him and actually get him impeached for that. That's something I haven't heard people talk about, but that's something that the Democrats could easily turn on him and say, well, actually, you approved of this, this, and this, and you should probably be impeached because of that. So that's also something that I thought was a good point to actually mention. Let's go ahead and actually put up on the screen the video. So this is like AI generated video here. So that's the AI video he released. He's throwing the 2020 hate hat on Hakeem Jeffries. I mean, it's just obviously it's brilliant because he wanted to kind of he wanted them to feel uncomfortable on purpose to kind of give himself a little bit of a leverage. And it's funny because from what I've heard from JD Vance, those had showed up like halfway throughout the meeting. They weren't even there at the beginning. They just randomly placed them there without even saying anything. And I actually want the producer to comment on that. Do you wanna say anything about that?
No, I thought it was hilarious the fact that he had those hats on the Resolute desk. And they walked in his office when they saw this. Because, what people don't understand is that, obviously Trump isn't going to run for 2028.
Right. I mean,
he's still playing this idea that he is to, obviously make Democrats go crazy over it. But I thought it was really funny because they really do think he is going to run. And they're, I think when they saw that, I'm sure they were deeply uncomfortable with it. I think.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's just very obvious he's not going to run for 28, but of course we do a little trolling. That's
my question is, was that photo of him pointing at Hakeem Jeffries real? Was that?
Yeah, I think that is real. That's actually on the White House. Like that, yes.
Let me try and pull that up.
Yeah, that is actually a real photo where he's pointing at Hakeem. That is a real photo. And I think he released those because he wanted to kind of show, because you know how they are, like they're like, oh, Donald Trump is the worst and he's this and that and blah, blah, blah. But then like you see them having a good time in the Senate meeting and they're like all smiles and giggles, So I think the president wanted to show that because he wanted to provide a perspective for people to see that it's not all just like doom and gloom with them. And like this whole narrative that they think he's like the world's worst and that he's Hitler isn't exactly true, because they'll talk to him smiling and laughing, like, this is supposed to be like the worst guy in the world to them.
Yeah.
If you guys are watching on X, you should really hop over to YouTube and like the video on here. We would greatly appreciate if you guys could do that. That would be absolutely wonderful. If you guys could go ahead and switch over to YouTube and actually like the video here, that would be greatly appreciated. Just go to On Point Politics. The YouTube channel should come up. It's like it should be the first thing that you see. And if you guys would like the video over here, it would be greatly appreciated if you guys would do that. So again, do you want to pull up something really quick detailing the demands that they had for the shutdown? What the Democrats actually wanted? Yeah.
Because they wanted they wanted Medicare to cover illegal immigrants, from what I remember. But let me see if I can pull it up.
Right. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go over the Charlie Kirk Memorial, the protest, and then we're going to go over Candace's stuff, and then we're going to wrap up because I thought I was going to have more time, but we did not have more time. So those will be the last three topics that we go over for today's episode. But yeah, go ahead and pull that demand list up really quick because I do actually want to see that. I want to see what that entailed.
See if I can find it.
Let's go ahead and see if you can find that. That would be really interesting. Save them for the next show. So the topics we don't cover today, we'll go over them in the next episode for sure. Like we'll definitely go over that, and we'll have new topics to talk about. It was just this first live show. I really wanted to kind of go over everything that happened in September, just as a little bit of a just a little recap of everything, since it was the first episode of the show for the month, and like with the new setup and all, I wanted to kind of have that down packed. Let's go ahead and actually show this on the screen. So this is what their demand list was. Democrats are demanding these, or they will shut down the government. Free taxpayer funded benefits for illegal aliens, 500 million for liberal news outlets and other partisan priorities, a massive 1.5 trillion spending hike. Is this true? Is this like actually verified, or are these like just
Yeah,
GOP talking points?
it's verified. Although it did come from the GOP, it is verified. I saw the documents. These can be confirmed.
So like, what was the 500 million for? Like, what do they exactly want that $500 million for?
Let me see if I can pull it up for you, because I want to show you the actual document and not just give you this.
Right. Yeah, because I find it to be really interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna require me to go through the actual documents.
Yeah.
Let me-
Yeah, but yeah, man, I think that it's really simple, guys. It's super simple. If you can mute yourself for a second, it's really simple. The Democrats say, "Oh, well, you control the House and you control the Senate and you control the presidency. How can you not? You guys obviously are responsible for the shutdown." But the problem is that since it is a resolution and in order to keep the government open, it needs 60 votes in the Senate. So 7 Democrats have to cross over to approve the spending budget. Like, they have to approve it. And so because the Republicans are obviously not going to let them have undocumented migrants, quote unquote, have health care, they just want to keep the government shut down because of that. So they're trying to spin it and say, oh, well, the Republicans are the ones who control the majorities. In reality, the Republicans need 60 votes in the Senate to keep the government open, and they need 7 Democrats. And I think they have like 3 of them, but they still need like 4 more in order to actually keep the government open. So that's just the very simple analysis of why the government shut down. It's really not more complicated than that. It's actually very simple. Anybody that tries to make it seem like it's a huge complicated mess, it's really not. It really isn't. It's actually very simple why it shut down. If we want to go ahead, we'll go ahead and move on to the next couple topics, because we do got to wrap up the show pretty soon here. But we have here right now, thousands attend Charlie Kirk Memorial. A massive public memorial service for Charlie Kirk was held at the State Farm Stadium in Arizona, drawing a crowd befitting a rock concert. President Donald Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Kirk's widow, Erica Kirk, were among the speakers who eulogized the 31-year-old conservative activist. Trump delivered on an overtly political tribute, declaring Kirk's murder was not just an attack on one man, it was an attack on our entire nation. He blamed the radical left for fomenting violence and vowed to posthumously award Kirk the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Erica Kirk gave an emotional eulogy, revealing her heartache beyond anything I knew existed, and yet also her faith that Charlie didn't suffer, and even managed a faint final smile. In a moving moment, she publicly forgave her husband's alleged killer. Other speakers, including VP Vance, even a Biden administration turned Trump official Robert F. Kennedy Jr. remembered Kirk's character and principles. Vance praised Kirk for treating staffers as well as he did, as well as he treated the president of the United States, calling him a dear friend whose legacy was gracious toward all. RFK Jr. recounted telling Kirk that there were worse things than death, like losing one's freedom, and concluded Charlie died with his boots on, fighting for his beliefs. The memorial, coming 11 days after the assassination, doubled as a rallying call against political violence and in support of Kirk's ideals. So that was the memorial. And again, I just have to say, I mean, it was absolutely amazing. I knew a bunch of people who went to that memorial. I unfortunately could not attend the memorial. But again, it is very remarkable. You did have a huge revival in Christian nationalism that day. A lot of people gave very great speeches there. I know that a lot of people said that Stephen Miller gave like an amazing speech As apparently he gave like a really good speech. JD Vance claimed that it is he was kind of uncomfortable speaking about his faith, but now after this happened, he's more comfortable than ever actually talking about his faith. So I think that's something really cool that he mentioned. The only thing though is I wish the president I don't know if it was appropriate for the president to talk about the autism announcement during the eulogy. I mean, I know he was trying to like say that, oh look, RFK Jr., me and RK Jr. are together because of Charlie, right? Like, he was trying to say like, look, we are doing this movement now because of Charlie, and he was trying to give Charlie credit for that. But I don't really think it was the appropriate time to be talking about an autism announcement in the middle of a eulogy. That's the only thing I really have to say about Trump's speech. And also, I think saying that the political, saying like radical left and not, I hate my opponent, I just really think it wasn't appropriate to say that. I think he could have phrased it different. I think he could have, but I mean, that's just who he is. I mean, that's who the president is, right? And I think that's why a lot of people really like the president. They support him is because he's just who he is at all times. And he didn't even say like, oh yeah, I'll be open to Erica convincing me if I should forgive my enemies instead of hating them. But I think the president really doesn't want to show any weakness. I think that's where that kind of line of talking comes from. But I definitely think during the eulogy he could have definitely toned it just a little bit down. I think he could have I think he definitely could have done that during the eulogy. Looking here on the last two topics for today's show. So these are the last topics for the show today. We have Flare activists push impeachment. Actually, John, go on my X page. I have a compilation pulled up of all of the footage that Miles Morale, our DC rep, actually collected over yesterday. So if you want, go ahead and pull that up on my account. We see here Flare activists push impeachment and clash with DC establishment. A volunteer-led protest group called Flare USA for Liberation and Resistance Everywhere escalated its campaign against President Trump. On October 5th, Flare activists converged on Capitol Hill to lobby congressional Democrats demanding Trump's impeachment and removal and full release of the Epstein files and restoration of the group's 24/7 protest encampment at Union Station, which has been dismantled by federal authorities days earlier. The Flare encampment in the Columbus Circle had stood since May, symbolizing resistance to Trump's fascism, until the Interior Department revoked their permit on allegations a Flare organizer assaulted a police officer, a charge the group denies. After losing their tents, Flare vowed to keep protesting every step of the way, and they did. On October 6th, which was yesterday, the Flare protesters moved to the Heritage Foundation, a prominent conservative think tank near the Capitol, to decry Heritage's role in crafting President Trump's 2025 agenda. The demonstration grew heated. Activists chanted through mega headphones and reportedly harassed Heritage staffers as they left the building, leading some employees to complain of feeling unsafe. Heritage 2025 project is in transition. Is a transition plan for a potential second Trump term, which Flare calls a blueprint for Christian nationalism and authoritarian policies. Flare and allied groups like Refuse Fascism characterize the permit revocation and subsequent police actions as a fascist assault on dissent, and they continue to organize weekly protests, including at Heritage every Monday under the slogan, "Trump must go now." So we're actually going to go ahead and pull this up here for everybody. So this is exclusive reporting from On Point Politics. This is exclusive footage that Miles Morales got, images that he got. And it says here, activists. Okay, yeah, just go ahead and just show everything there. So this is, the protesters lobbying in certain congressional offices. As of right now, pause it really quick so we can see what this says. Staffers, tell your boss about this. This is what fascism looks like. Suppression of the opposition. So this is what one of the protesters wrote on their sign. Keep playing the video. This is just a compilation of everything there that we put together. Flare on the top there. We see fascism, dictatorial head, Trump, extreme nationalism, purging history, militarism and violence, DC occupation, suppression of opposition, Flare USA, alliance with cities, Doge, Palantir, which is something that is concerning. Trans people, I think it says there, immigrants, scapegoating. Okay, yeah, so they're saying that like the Trump administration is using them as a scapegoat. And we see Trump is just okay. All right. Well, I mean, that's just great. Keep going forward. I don't want YouTube to flag the swastika. We see here, yeah, U.S. Air Force. You can take back our gear, but you can't take our flare. So that's one of the other signs that Miles captured. Grab them by the Epstein files is another one that they had. And this is footage that
Why are you assaulting women, fool? Are you some sort of Nazi?
yeah. So this is interaction that Miles had with somebody very briefly. He had an interaction with them. They come up to put up the audio really quick.
Yeah, you did. It was in front of the White House.
Oh,
how you doing?
Good.
Good.
I'm okay. Fuck you, fascist!
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, just yeah, it's just yeah, and then this is mute the audio really quick. Mute the audio. Yeah, and that's okay. Yeah, it already ended, but they were basically protesting like a heritage foundation worker there. I think like the one that's walking the suit is the one that works at Heritage Foundation. I don't know. I guess it is. And they're like protesting the Heritage Foundation because of Project 2025. So that's the reporting on the protest that was going on. And then we're going to move on to our final topic. And you can go ahead and pull up the receipts from Candace's profile if you want. But as you know, Candace Owens has been doing a investigation on the murder of Charlie Kirk. Hey, Titan, Kicklighter is in the chat here. A shout out to Titan. He actually helped me set up the studio here, as well as my friend Homedo Cruz. So thank you very much to the both of them for making this happen. So Titan has helped out setting up the lighting, setting up a bunch of stuff for the show. He actually created this background. So thank you very much, Titan, for tuning into the stream. But as we all know, Candace Owens did start her own investigation of Charlie Kirk. You know, people were saying, "Oh, you know, it's too early for her to start an investigation," which I don't really buy that narrative. I think that she had to hop on it as soon as possible, because what people who want to hide the truth about the assassination would want people to be distracted, would want people to not pay attention to it. And I think I actually really admire Candace for, despite still mourning and grieving her friend, you know, I think it's important that she carries out this investigation. And she's been bringing a lot of good points. I will say this, though. You know, a lot of like America First people, a lot of Groypers, you know, they really don't like Candace's version of the story, which, you know, Nick and her have had beef and stuff like that. And, you know, I do understand people's point of view, that they don't like the fact that she's not putting out receipts. But I do think that there is a tactical advantage, okay, in not releasing receipts right away, because you kind of let people put forth like a certain narrative, and then you can like completely disprove it. And this is what she put up on her stream yesterday. And it says the following. It says Charlie Kirk I think this is WhatsApp. I don't think this is Telegram. I think this is a WhatsApp group chat, or maybe it's Telegram. It's one of the two. And Candace blocked out the names of certain people here. I believe she confirmed that allegedly Rob McCoy and Josh Hammer are actually in this group chat. They were in this group chat. So that's also really interesting. But it says here, if you want to go ahead and read it yourself, John.
Yeah, absolutely. Starts with Charlie Kirk saying, you know, just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace. And someone goes on to say, Charlie Kirk also says Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. And it looks like someone else in the group chat says, please don't invite Candace. That might feel good short term, but it's not good long term, in my opinion. Like all groups, you're going to get wide variety of opinions. That nasty free will thing that God bestowed on us makes life frustrating at times. After dust settles a bit, maybe. I really wonder who was that said that.
I actually wonder who said that too. I'm
said
kind of
that?
curious. Well, I mean, yeah, it's kind of interesting, but I actually want to hear your thoughts. What do you think about that? I mean, because I honestly think that those are legit. I take screenshots like that because
That's
that would be like I mean, honestly, I don't think she would fake those because if
yeah.
she did, like that's an easy defamation lawsuit. Like that's a very easy one. I really don't think that she would fake those. So
Right.
what do you think that's about?
People were coming after her for censoring the other people in the group chat, but or I don't know if that's another person or if they're two different people, but I actually think like I don't think I think they mean well, but um I don't know. I have a trouble. I have a trouble time, like believing the types of things that Candace Owens puts out. Especially with the Brigitte
Mm.
Macron thing. Um, but I, I don't know. It's been tough for me. With all of this coming out. Um, I do think. I honestly, I'm just gonna give it to her and say like fine. I'll take her word on it, because if she's wrong about this, this is gonna follow her for the rest of her life.
I mean, yeah, I mean, if she faked those, like it's over. Like her like YouTube career's over. If she actually not even YouTube, just like her
It,
social
it
media career
it's
would
gonna
basically
ruin
be
her.
over. Yeah, it would be
It's
ruined. It
gonna
would
ruin
ruin
her.
her. Yeah, it would ruin if those are fake, they would ruin her. So
But
I just thought it was important for the audience to see that because that was like the
absolutely,
latest, like that was the latest like huge bombshell that came out of the investigation that she had with Charlie. And I wasn't reporting on a lot of things because a lot of it was speculation. But this
right?
is like the first time that she's dropped like legit receipts. And it wouldn't surprise me if there was a Telegram or WhatsApp chat because a lot of the times they do use WhatsApp or Telegram because people like don't have iPhones and stuff like that. So I also think
I-
that it is actually more realistic that it wasn't a Telegram or a WhatsApp chat. It's possible that that's the case.
Yeah.
So,
I wanted to add, this is a major event. Him
mm,
losing a donor, and over, him not canceling Tucker, and being bullied. This is a major event. 48 hours before he was killed. So
right,
if this comes out to be true, this is going to be big. This is
right.
I mean, it is big, right? But because of what we're seeing, but if this is real, if we can get this confirmed by Josh Hammer, which I don't think he's going to come out and confirm it,
No, of course
someone
not.
or another person that is tied to this, it's going to be big.
Right. It is going to be huge if that's the case. And I mean, guys, that is it for today's show. Thank you very much to everyone who tuned in. If you guys did like it, make sure to hit the like button, to subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Follow me on X in the description down below. And make sure to join the Telegram chat so you have the latest updates for the podcast. We will be going live again Thursday morning at the same time. Hopefully, I actually go live earlier on Thursday. And on top of that, I am going to be streaming later on Thursday because we will be doing a fundraiser live stream for our pollster SoCal Strategies. And I'll actually pull that up here really quick so I can kind of shout him out as well. But right now, we are seeking fundraising for our polling in the state of Virginia and New Jersey. We're going to go ahead and just pull this up really quick before we end the show. But basically, right now we are at about $205 raised out of the $3,000 that we want to raise in order to conduct a polling using the Cent voter panel. So guys, if you guys want to donate to that, I'll add it in the description down below. Or you could just look up support accurate polling for VA in New Jersey on the GoFundMe, and you guys can go ahead and donate to that. So thank you very much to everybody who tuned in into today's episode of On Point Politics. We will have more for you on Thursday, and we'll be filming a couple interviews this weekend as well. Also, another thing, I will be co-hosting a podcast with Homedo Cruz on a separate YouTube channel called Flowcast. So I will be having people also check that out as well when the time comes. So thank you very much, everyone, and we will see you guys in the next episode.